Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Yes, your eyes do not fool you. This is Thursday in the Three Amigos. How you guys doing? How you doing, Matt?
Doing awesome, Mike.
Yeah, I guess we have to address, did you get like a code red or something? Did somebody just come in and shave your head or what's going on?
Dion told me it would get me more subs.
Oh, yeah, cut your hair. You get more subs. Oh, I like it. I like it. That's good. How you doing, Dion?
Howdy. I'm doing great. I always have great advice.
Yeah, exactly. More subs, you get, yeah, shave your head. Okay. Very cool. Well, hey, one of the things I wanted to do is, Matt, you were the first one to find this, so I thought we should just talk about it. Sure. But first, I want to remind people that, my investing journey starts before the last crash. Yeah. And I don't know how to put this nicely. The bubble, we all talk about how the bubble popped, but it really started to get going in 04, right? Most people talk about 05, 06. That's when it kind of got nutty. But the bubble really started to grow in 04. And we have just started doing some of the same things that we did in 04. So again, this might feel good for a year or two, but if there's not more behind what we're about to talk about, it could end up in the same way. So it's, Matt, since you found it first, why don't you talk about at least some of the highlights, and we will talk about if this is similar to before or not.
Sure. So Freddie Mac has actually just come out with, and the CEO of Freddie Mac, and for those of you who don't know who that is, that's basically the government backing entity that backs a majority of the mortgages in the United States. And so they basically set the rules for what are called servicers, like a Bank of America, a Wells Fargo, et cetera. So they set the rules and they say, here's the rules that we want to see when you're going to lend out to somebody. And typically that's a, 660 credit score plus. It's typically, 3.5% down, 6 months in reserves, all these other different categories where they say, we want to make sure that we're lending out in a positive manner, but lending out in a way that's not going to become bad paper or a bad loan like so many did back in 05 and 06, because they were called ninja loans, which stood for no income, no job, no assets.
Yep.
And so these are basically, with all due respect, these are basically those same exact loans. The new program is called Freddie Mac Home Possible. It is a 3% down payment with no minimum credit score, and it's not an FHA loan. So this is another loan product that will be sold by servicers, and a loan product that you'll be able to get access to that is, again, 3% down, home owner-occ, 3% down, single family, but no minimum credit score, which is absolutely frightening.
Yeah, well, it's certainly could be the beginning. Before I give my thoughts, Dion, you heard this as I did here in the last 20 minutes. What are kind of your thoughts?
I get the sentiment. I get that putting people on the property ladder is good. The Survey of Consumer Finance in 2020 did a study that showed the average net worth of a person in the United States was about $121,000. The average net worth of a person that owned a property was $255,000. And the average net worth of a renter was $6,300. Yeah. So getting people on the property ladder is a good thing. The problem is first-time homebuyer programs, no credit check. And if we ever get to the point of ninja loans again, the nightmare happens when renters rent on payment. What can I afford? That's where I'm going to live. Homeowners buy on payment. What can I afford? That's what I'll buy. The problem is we're going to have renters become buyers, buying on payment, not accounting for things like increased taxes and insurance next year, maintenance, all of the expenses that pop up with home ownership that a renter doesn't have to worry about. Yes, your rent can go up, but you don't have to put the roof on when it fails, and there goes $7,000 to $10,000.
Yes, not a big expense that's out of nowhere. Yeah,
correct. So we're going to have, as the comments in the article that Matt sent us, everybody's going to be saying in those comments, this is what caused the last crash. This is the exact same as this is what started the last time. That's right. So the good thing for an investor is that that's going to cause some pullback. Some investors are going to say the crash is coming because of this bubble is going to pop. So people are going to pull back, which means less competition for us, because I'll say it again, it's always a good day to buy a great deal.
Right. Yes.
And if there was a crash, if next year property values went down 50%, I would still be happy that I bought my properties now because I was buying for rental income.
Yeah.
I didn't care about the value of the property.
That's right.
And since I'm a buy and hold investor, in 2, 5, 10 years, values will be back above where they are now.
Yeah.
So there's my thoughts.
Yeah. There's a couple of things. Cause again, I think I was buying my 4th or 5th rental property when similar programs to this were coming out. And again, the sentiment is great. I'm a huge believer in getting on the property ladder. The 3 of us are working on something that Dion calls the cheat code to wealth, income snowball. We are all huge believers on this. But what scares me is the worst time for me to be a landlord was 2006. Maybe it was 2007. I was actually declining applications for tenants because they didn't qualify for income or credit. And then they were turning around and getting a house. Here's the problem. It is great to get these people on a home ladder, property ladder. I truly believe I want to get people on the property ladder and keep them there. Getting somebody on the property ladder for 2 years and then they lose it to a painful foreclosure is not helpful. In fact, it hurts generations.
Yeah,
their kids.
Yeah,
their kids will remember that.
That's right.
I'm talking to people all the time now in my course. They're like, hey, my parents did this, or I saw my friend do that, and I'm really, really nervous. We need to have some financial wherewithal. It needs to be in the schools. Having no minimum credit score to buy a home. There's only one thing more stupid, and that is a neg am loan.
Yeah.
If you give somebody a no credit and you give them a neg am loan, you're just guaranteeing a foreclosure. Near as I can tell, because I've read this article, it at least appears that these are all 30-year fixed rate mortgages. That's what it appears. So they're not adjustables.
Right. So they didn't talk about if they were 30 or 40.
Oh, oh my God, it could be 40.
Yep.
Yeah, but they're basically fixed rate. They're not
right. They are fixed rate, but they didn't talk if they were 30 or 40. And then the bigger issue is you've got Freddie Mac Home Possible program, 3% minimum down payment, but no credit score. Fannie Mae, 3%, but they knocked their credit score requirement down to only 620.
And just for clear, folks, all 3 of us, if somebody came to us with a 620 credit score, that would be a no answer.
That would be a no.
That'd be a no for me.
And it wouldn't be a no. It'd be
a hell no.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Nope. And then there's still 4 other programs, Mike. You got FHA, which is still hanging in at 3.5, but they've dropped their minimum credit score requirement to 580.
You have to work to get a 580.
You have to have multiple credit lines, not paid on time, not current.
You probably have a judgment too.
Potentially. Yeah. For a 580.
So as somebody who went through a divorce as a single parent, not making a lot of money, there are a lot of times when your credit score tanks for all kinds of reasons that might not be in your control. That is not the time to buy a house.
Exactly.
That is the time to work on your credit score, work on saving so that you can buy a house when you're ready. So I get it. It's the same reason why, and we actually talked about this before the recording, you guys will take a 680 for renters. I will only go to 700. So I've been in a worse situation than tenants that I will accept.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
this is not going to end well.
Well, and conventional went down to 3% as well.
God, no.
Like they're funding this with, I think it's 3 billion?
I think it was. Well, the conventional for 3% is first time home buyer. So you haven't owned a property for 3 years. That's always been a thing.
I thought that was I thought that it bumped back up to 5 though.
It might have. Maybe it's changed because I haven't used that loan product for a while. But
yeah, I think it's 5 now. No, it's 3. But yeah, they put $3 billion behind this. And oh, by the way, they will put more. This is what I want to communicate here. This single act is not a bubble mate. This single act is a start of something that could become a problem. Because what happened last time is this started. It felt good because prices went up. People got in. You saw home occupancy rise. Then what happened? Because prices rose, they had to do something because now the payments were unaffordable. So that's when they had these adjustable rate mortgages. And we went from doing 5 or 10 or 15% adjustable rate mortgage percentage to 50%. 50% of the loans originated in 2006 were adjustable. That is unhealthy. So This could be the start of something. It is not a bubble by itself. Again, housing moves slowly. So this starting in 2021 probably inflates 2022, probably inflates 2023. But by 2024, we have a recession. Maybe we have our second recession. People are out of jobs, and suddenly foreclosures go up. So not a bubble by itself, but certainly the start of something. What do you think, Dion?
Well, I want to get ahead of somebody who's going to jump into the comments.
Sure.
Because every now and then we have somebody that comes in and says, don't listen to these guys. They are trying to control the market to help somebody said that in some comment one time, like, don't listen to us because we're trying to inflate the prices to help our own portfolios. Like, we're that big.
Yeah.
But we're 3 content creators who are trying every day to find a way to convince people to buy a rental property, to get on the property ladder. Here's the strategies that work. I actually had a video that came out today on how to use a VA or FHA loan to get rental properties, the strategy to end up with a rental property. So that's what we're trying to do. But do it when it's right. Do it when you have the income to justify it. Do it when you have the reserves. Do it when you have the credit score. Do it when you have all of those things. That those rules are in place to protect people from failing. So it feels good to say, we're going to make it easier for people who don't have the same resources. Well, you're just setting people up for failure with doing that.
Yeah.
So this is horrible.
It's horrible. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's horrible. I think this is, the worst vintage of loans in the last 10 years was 2019. And the reason that 2019 was the worst vintage was because that's when FHA had the loosest DTI, debt to income ratios. So you could get a loan done at 51, 52% debt to income.
Oh, wow.
And then in the last few months that had actually been reined in quite a bit in the last year or so, had been reined in quite a bit. And it was getting into the, 43, 45. So it was getting more reasonable. But now with this, I'd love to know what that piece is. It's scary because we're all going to be fine.
Yeah.
We're all going to be fine. But we know that this is going to hurt people. It's the, sugar high that, you eventually pay the bill when you eat a bag of candy.
Yeah.
I can speak firsthand on that.
Yeah, me too. I have a sweet tooth. So when I look at this, I think a couple of things. First and foremost, this is the market I focus on, right? These are where I buy homes. So demand's going to go up. So everything I own is going to go up. Yeah. It's going to become increasingly hard to buy because, again, they can get in for 3% down. An investor needs 25 and maybe 30%. It's the start of something. It's not going to make a bubble all by itself, but it certainly has rhythms of 04 and
it does. But then we're the jerks when 2 years from now we're buying them back from the bank. We're jerks.
I've been called a lot worse. Yeah.
I'm sanitizing it.
Thank you.
And that happened to me. They're like, well, why wouldn't you give somebody else a shot? I was like, it's on the free market. Like,
yeah. It's public right there.
Like, not my fault.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really hope that this just really speaks well to doing the work, doing your homework, not just reading headlines, not just watching clickbait, but read the article yourself and put the pieces together, or watch somebody like us that can put those pieces together. This is exactly, Mike, what happened and why you could get properties for what you could get them for back in 08 and 9.
Yeah. And then I'll put my real world example, right? I bought a house in 02, late 02, December 11th, 02. So basically 03, when it was pretty a stable market. Then 04 started, right? So I buy for 107. It suddenly goes to like 160 because of this incentives. I do a cash out refi, leads to an alligator. I talk about it all the time. But ultimately in 06, I sell it for 264. The rent never changed. 1095. Thus an alligator, thus a problem, 1031 out. Then the person who buys it with one of those loan products that was unhealthy loses it 3 years later because he could hold it for the first 2 years because the first 2 years were nothing. Then he can't pay. Then he takes a year to foreclose and he's out, and it retrades at 75. Getting on the property ladder, but getting off of it in 3 years is not the goal.
No.
That's unfortunately what could happen here. So thank you for bringing this to our attention. Dion, how can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom. And I'm very active in the Bigger Pockets Facebook groups.
Very cool. And Matt?
Lumberjack Landlord on YouTube, certainly.com, and then Sunday mornings, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, 3 hours of real estate palooza.
I forgot to ask, Dion, did you do your live?
I fought, no, not yet.
Not yet.
I fought with YouTube to get it approved, and
next week.
So that'll be soon.
Okay, very cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.